journey of a Ballaholic, the best talk show for basketball addicts. I'm your host, General Hannibal X. Now, if you're new on this channel here, you're going to be getting my passionate and in-depth analysis on the hottest NBA and college basketball topics. Listen, I'm a Ballaholic. I'm absolutely addicted to basketball. Now, just like everybody, I've got my own opinion. If you like opinions that are backed by facts, go ahead and hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, but also be sure that you hit that bell notification so that you'll be updated whenever I drop new videos, which is every Monday and Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Listen, fellas, we're going to dive into this because we got the Boston Celtics versus the Toronto Raptors tonight. So if you can hear me in the chat, if my audio is good, give me a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Let's make sure we got everything set up and ready to roll. Bam. Give me 1 second to make sure we get everything situated. Right. So, welcome back, fellas. Listen, hey, this is it, man. This is it. I'm gonna tell you, tonight's gonna be that night where I'm gonna make a lot of people mad. Unfortunately, listen, I got a big Toronto Raptors following, right? And my Raptors fans, I need to talk to you all tonight. We gotta talk. We gotta chop this thing down and really break it down to understand what is going on with your Toronto Raptors. Somebody's got to tell me. Is it just me? I mean, is it just me? Now, we're going to talk about the Boston Celtics as well because they're not playing as great as they could be, but I kind of understand because Kemba Walker's not there. The Toronto Raptors have their main core of who's going to be there. And right now, they're 1-4 to start the season. Now, that's not necessarily an end-all, be-all situation where if they can't recover, but there's some trends that I'm just not liking, man. There's some trends that if they continue this, my preseason prediction of having the the Toronto Raptors finishing as the 6th seed in the East, which I got, was much maligned for picking the Raptors to be the 6th seed. If they keep playing like this, I'll be wrong. My prediction will be wrong. They won't be the 6th seed because they won't even make the playoffs if they keep this up. The Toronto Raptors right now are on the verge of heading down a spiral that they may not be able to climb back from. So let me know in the comment section below, some of the thoughts, like Raptors in 7 says, do I think that Boucher should start over Siakam? Listen, man, it's so amazing that you started with that question because that's one of the main topics I want to talk about. There's 2 things we got to discuss tonight. Number 1, we've got to discuss, as he just asked the question so brilliantly, should Boucher start? Let's start there. Should Chris Boucher be starting? And I'm going to be honest with you. The Raptors have a couple of choices because the current lineup that they have with Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, and Aaron Baines, that's not cutting it. That's not going to work. That lineup right there will make you wind up ending up to miss the playoffs if you continue to play that lineup. So we're going to go with the scenario in which here's a short-term solution, and there could potentially be an even longer-term solution, and we're going to get into that in a bit. The short-term solution, and to answer your question, 100% Chris Boucher has to start for the Raptors. He's one of their best rim protectors. He's a versatile guy who can kind of, offensively, he can kind of play inside out, as far as being able to at least shoot a 3, right? At least be able to stretch the floor a little bit. But I think what he brings on the defensive end is going to be very important. Well, one of the biggest reasons I think Chris Boucher needs to start, and I don't think you necessarily need to bench Siakam. I don't think you necessarily need to do that. But what I do think they need to do is potentially get bigger. Meaning, maybe a Fred VanVleet. Maybe that's the guy that needs to come off the bench as a super 6-man to just come in and just give you lights out scoring. He's right now leading them in scoring. So I know that may sound like a stretch, but understand this. Right now, you got Kyle Lowry and Pascal Siakam as quote-unquote your 2 best players, and then the 2nd and 3rd leading scorers, right? Siakam's averaging under 17 points a game. You've got to figure out a way to get him more rhythm, more shots, more opportunities. Something's got to happen. I think if you start Chris Boucher in that front court alongside Aaron Baines and slide Siakam to more of a natural position for him, I honestly don't think Pascal Siakam is a power forward. I think he's honestly playing out of position specifically because he does not have an elite defender playing beside him. When he had Marcus Gasol and Serge Ibaka defensively against him, you could play him at the 4. When you had Kawhi Leonard at the 3 and then Marcus Gasol or Serge behind, you could play him at that 4. You can't play him at the 4 when you got Aaron Baines beside him. That combo at that 4-5 spot is just not getting it done. Right now, the Raptors are 29th, dead next to last in rebound differential. They're getting crushed on the glass. You need to bring Chris Boucher, who's not the greatest of rebounders, but he gives you more size, more length. You can keep Siakam at the 3, switch Anunoby to the 2, and possibly bring Van Fleet off that bench. Not because Van Fleet's not playing well. Don't get me wrong. It's not a demotion for Van Fleet. It's to switch things up so that you have more scoring punch coming off the bench, because right now the bench is not really giving them enough punch as they needed, number 1. Number 2, Siakam's got to do something there because he's getting in foul trouble, and it's just ridiculous. The last 3 games Siakam has played, he's fouled out, he was benched, didn't even play for leaving the bench early in the game, and the game before that he fouled out. The game before that, he had 5 fouls. Your best player, your quote-unquote best player, can't keep fouling out of games and get almost eliminated every single game he's playing. So I don't know if it's the matchup that he's having trouble with, but something's got to change, because this team right here, they're in trouble, man. Now that's the short-term solution, is to switch the lineup up. But here's a even bigger potential possibility that the Raptors may need to consider. I think it may be time to even consider trading Siakam. I know that may sound crazy, but it may be time to get rid of Siakam while he has some value left. In the bubble, his value dropped. Let's call it what it was. The first 5 games of the season, his value has continued to drop. If he keeps playing on this level, his value is going to keep plummeting. You're paying this guy $30 million to be the best player on your team. He's not that. He's not that. So either you're going to give some younger guys more opportunity, and you're going to trade him to get some assets or some players that may better complement a Fred VanVleet and a Kyle Lowry. Or what's the solution? Tell me, guys. For those who are in the comment section below, let me know. Do you think, number 1, let's start with the first question. Do you think the Toronto Raptors should start Chris Boucher? If you think they should start Chris Boucher, give me a 1 in the chat. If you don't think they should start him, give me a 2 in the chat. Let's just see what the chat thinks right now about starting Chris Boucher and shaking up the starting lineup. What do you think in the comment section? So we got a couple of 1s. I see 1, 1, 1. 1. So everybody's saying yes, Chris Boucher should start. So I think everybody's in agreement with that. Chris Boucher has to start. We can all see that Nick Nurse is a great coach. So I don't think there's any question. I haven't seen 1, 2 come up on the screen yet. So that's number 1. Let's make that adjustment. Let's see if you can go up against this Boston Celtics team that has 2 dynamic wings. Now tonight's game may not be the game to make that switch. Against the Boston Celtics, which they play tonight, who is 4-3, and they're not off to a hot start. They got some issues of their own that we're about to get into. But think about this. Tonight may not be the night to bring Chris Boucher in to start, because you've got Jason Tatum, you've got Jaylen Brown, and these 2 guys right here, you want to match up Siakam and OG against them. You want to make sure you matched up against those 2 guys. But if Boston's gonna play big, then that may be a good time to go. If they're gonna play a small ball, we saw them do mostly last year, then you can potentially stay with the lineup that you have. Think about this for a second. The offense that the Toronto Raptors are running right now is it's trash. There's no way to put it. They're 29th in the league in offensive efficiency. 29th. That means the only worst team from an offensive standpoint than the Toronto Raptors right now is the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they're almost in tank mode. They've traded away almost every good asset that they have, trying to pile on lottery picks. And that's the only offense that they're better than right now. One of the biggest issues that I'm seeing with this Toronto Raptors squad right now is the fact that they're not even getting free throw attempts, man. When you take so many threes, so many perimeter shots, and you're not pounding the paint, and you're not getting to the free throw line, you're not putting pressure on the defense. The Toronto Raptors right now rank 30th, dead last in free throw attempts. They're dead last in free throw attempts. They're number 1 in the NBA in 3-point attempts. And this is by a wide margin. They got like more than 5 threes attempted more than the second highest ranked team. I'm going to say it again. The Toronto Raptors right now, the number one team is taking threes, shooting 46 threes per game, and that's 5 more than the second-rated team. When did Toronto Raptors become the Golden State Warriors? What makes you think 46 threes a game is the way to go? And you're dead last in free throw attempts. This offense has got to change, man. And I don't know, once again, this is why I say, maybe you bring a Chris Boucher in there and you get a little bit more size, you start attacking the paint more. Maybe that's the answer. I don't know what it is, but I know Pascal Siakam cannot continue to average under 17 points a game if this team has any chance of making the playoffs. The East is too deep. The East is just basically too deep. Now, the Boston Celtics, let's touch on them for a bit. Well, actually, before we go to them, before we go to the Celtics, here's the second question. Let me know in the chat room. Put a 1 up if you think that the Raptors should trade Pascal Siakam. Put a 2 in the chat if you think that the Raptors should not trade Siakam. I want to know what the audience thinks. 1 in the chat room if you think that the Raptors need to trade Pascal Siakam. Number 2 in the chat if you don't think they need to trade him. I've got 1. I got one guy says 2. That's a Raptors fan. The fun guy says 2. Matthew says 2. MDG2 Golden says 2. Raptors and 7 says 2. Zay Rich says 2. We got a 1. Haggy Alone says 1. Katie says 2. Give him a little bit more time. I can respect that. Need to wait until the deadline. I can respect that. So I guess when I'm asking that question, not necessarily to say trade him today, but more so to trade him at the deadline if it continues to go the way it's going. So I think we kind of balance between 1s and 2s. So it's a split moment seems to be right now. But I think we can agree with that. Let's kind of give him a little bit more time. I think that was the best comment. I think Katie said, give him a little bit more time. That's the best way to look at it. But if this thing keeps going the way it is, man, they got to shake this thing up. This isn't getting it done. And tonight, that's a big-time matchup. Because if you lose to the Boston Celtics, the team that knocked you out of the bubble last year in Game 7 because Siakam couldn't close the deal, Lowry couldn't close it, Van Fleet, they couldn't close the deal. If the Boston Celtics, who are playing without Kemba Walker, mind you, have started the season 4-3, like I said, they got some issues, but because Kemba Walker hasn't been there, I'm going to give them a little bit of a pass. I'm going to give them a pass because their playmaker, their facilitator hasn't been there. But this Boston Celtics team, they've got some issues as well they've got to fix out, and I think that adding Kemba Walker back will help. And so I don't want to be too critical about the Celtics right now because we haven't seen them at their full strength. So I got to be fair to them. I got to be fair. But this is a big game tonight. If the Toronto Raptors lose tonight and drop to 1-5, that's not a good look, man. That's not a good look. And so, I don't know. Like, I'm really interested. We're going to get to some question and answers soon. Because I'm really interested to know, especially from all my Raptors fans, like, what are you all really thinking about what's going on? Like, before the season started, I said the Raptors were going to be a 6 seed. And I was called out as far as, some people said I didn't know what I was talking about, in other words. And what I saw was, I thought their rebound was going to take a hit. I thought their defense was going to take a hit. Now, I have to give them credit. Their defense has actually not been a problem. Right now, they're ranked number 5 defensively, defensive rated. They're ranked number 5, so I give them credit. They're competing. They're flying around the court. So I'll give them that credit, but I still don't like what I'm seeing. I don't like it. And I don't know if they're expending too much energy trying to make up for defense for a lack of offense. I don't know what it is, but they got to figure out some issues. Now, the Boston Celtics, one of the biggest issues that I'm seeing with them, similar to the Toronto Raptors, is they're too perimeter-oriented. Now, you've got 2 dynamic superstars that I love, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. These young boys are on fire. On fire. Jaylen Brown right now, let me ask this question. Who's better? Is Jaylen Brown better than Jason Tatum? I know that may seem crazy. Jaylen Brown right now is averaging 28 points a game. He's, I think, 2 of the last 3 games he's made put up 30-plus points. Jason Tatum's averaging 24 points a game, so both of them balling. Tatum, I think, is averaging, Tatum's giving you almost 8 rebounds and 4 assists. Jaylen Brown's giving you almost 5 rebounds and 3 assists. This is an elite wing duo, Who's better right now? In the chat, let me know. Tatum or Jaylen Brown, who's better right now? Not who's going to be better. As of right now, who's the best player on the Boston Celtics team? Is it Jaylen Brown or is it Jason Tatum? Let's see. Let me know what y'all think. I'm going to refresh this just to make sure. I want to get everybody's comment in here because I want to know what you think. Because I'm going to tell you who I think, but before I reveal that, I want to see what the chat's thinking right now. Katie says Jay Brown. Hagulon says statistically it's Jalen. Okay. Lamar Edwards says right now it's Jalen, but I still think it's Tatum. Okay. Bob Charlie says Jalen Brown is better. Jason Tatum pushes off to get the separation. Brown is much better, more aggressive. He can create a space better. The fun guy says right now it's Brown, but as the season progresses, it'll be Tatum. MD 2 Goated says Jay Brown right now. And listen, everybody's saying Jalen Brown. And the stats are saying Jalen Brown. I'm going to disagree with you, though. Even though the stats, and that's mainly the scoring stats, right now, Jalen Brown's averaging 28, Tatum's at 24. The other stats kind of favor Jason Tatum. I still say Jason Tatum is the better player. Jalen Brown's just on a hot streak right now. I would venture to say at the end of the season, Jason Tatum's going to wind up leading his team in scoring. He's just, to me, he's just so smooth, man. He's so smooth. And it's not to knock Jalen Brown. I think he's smooth as well. I think both of these guys complement each other very well. But if I had to pick who's the best player, despite the scoring output right now, I'm still going with Jason Tatum. I still think the potential for Boston to one day, because right now I told you before the season started, I remember I had Boston slotted as the 5th seed, and I have them as a 2nd-tier team. They're not a legitimate title contender. Boston Celtics fans, I know you love your Celtics, but they're not a legitimate title contender, not yet. But if they're ever going to be one, I believe it's going to be Jason Tatum who's the #1 scoring option on that team. It's not to say that Jalen Brown can't be right there with them, a 1A, 1B situation, right? But I think Jason Tatum has to be that guy. He has that look, he has that feel, he has that swagger, he has the game. He's got the game. And that I believe that's the case for them in the future. But as of right now, I can't necessarily be mad at those who picked Jalen Brown. I get it. Even though I'm gonna go with Jason Tatum. Haggy says Tatum got balls like Kobe. I agree with you, man. I definitely agree. Darian Yan says the Raptors are screwed. Man, Darian, listen. We're 5 games in, so I don't want to say they're screwed yet, but they're getting close to being in that screwed section, man. They're getting very close because you just can't keep playing basketball the way that they've been playing. Like, think about this for a second. Not only are they not taking a lot of free throws, and not only are they taking a lot of threes, taking more threes than anybody, taking the least amount of free throws, do you know they are dead last in the NBA in field goal percentage? Now, this is a Nick Nurse offense. This got Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, Norman Powell, Chris Boucher. They're dead last in field goal percentage. This isn't just a Siakam thing. Let's start right there. This is not just a Pascal Siakam issue that the Toronto Raptors have. He's the biggest issue. I would have to say he's the biggest issue. But it's not just him. There's a lot of inefficiency going on out here with these Raptors guys that they've got to, as a team, they got to step up. The NBA is a make or miss league. You make it, more times than not, you're going to win. You miss it, more times than not, you're going to lose. It's just as simple as that. And you're all professionals. The Toronto Raptors tonight, going against the Boston Celtics, who are the #4 team in the NBA in field goal percentage, if you miss all those shots, the Raptors are out. They're out and they're running. The Celtics are out and running, and they're scoring easily. Like, you don't want that, because you got to remember, the Raptors don't rebound the ball very well. They're second to last in rebound differential. So they're missing a lot of shots. They're not getting the rebounds. Other teams are running. How do you expect to win? That's why they've lost twice to the Pelicans. The Pelicans are a running gun team. You want to make the Pelicans play in half court. Now, I know they're glad they don't have to play New Orleans anymore. They after getting swept by the young Pelicans, who, mind you, is one of my, I'm not going to say favorite teams, but they've got, Zion's my favorite player in the NBA right now, and I call the Pelicans Duke South, right? Because I'm a Duke fan, and you got, between J.J. Redick and Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram, they're like Duke South. But the Raptors lost to them twice. Come on, fellas. This Toronto Raptors team's got an issue, and if they don't address it, they're in trouble. So let's go ahead and take some questions, man. So I want to make sure that we wrap this thing up. I don't want to be here too long because we got some good basketball coming on tonight. What's your questions? Let me know. Let's strictly keep our questions on the Celtics and the Raptors for right now. What questions do you have about this game tonight, about the season outlook, about any potential roster moves? Like, what are your thoughts that you have about either the Raptors or the Celtics? Let me know what you got, man. The fun guy says, who would I compare Siakam's trade value? Ooh, who would you compare Siakam's trade value to right now? his trade value is, see, what's so hard about Siakam is, and it's not as bad as somebody like a Russell Westbrook was before he got traded. See, prior to Russell Westbrook getting traded, he's a hard fit, and the salary cap was so ridiculous. Siakam's not that bad, right? And you see, the only guy we could really trade Russ for were aging stars or injured stars. Siakam's issue, and what I think the Raptors will potentially be looking to do if they decide to trade him, is to trade him for expiring contracts and young assets. You got to try to trade him to a contending team, a team who's one piece away. A team, here's an example. A team like the Portland Trailblazers, right? A team who's got some good talent, but maybe they want to get a boost in on their front line. And you maybe you know, instead of having Rodney Hoods or the Carmelo Anthonys, you upgrade. And so maybe a CJ McCollum. Maybe I don't even know if Portland would do that, to be honest with you. But maybe a CJ McCollum if you're looking at a 1-for-1 type of trade. If it's not that, then you're going to be getting expiring contracts, and you hope to get a first-round pick. You hope to get a first-round pick. You definitely get second-round picks, but you hope to get a first-round pick for Pascal Siakam. That's what I think the best you're going to look to do is to try to get youthful and try to rebuild this thing, because as of right now, there's nobody on the Toronto Raptors team, nobody that is good enough to be the #1 option on the championship team. Nobody. Fred, Kyle, Pascal, none of those guys, and none of the young guys, whether it's Thomas, Davis, Powell, none of those guys are good enough to be the best player on a championship team. So what's your ceiling? You know what their ceiling would be? At best, their ceiling is what it was before they got Kawhi Leonard, when they had DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry, where you were winning a lot of games, but you weren't really even getting to the conference finals. You weren't making it to the NBA finals. That was their ceiling then. But this team is worse than that team was. So let's see. Other question. Who on the Celtics bench do you believe can be an X factor? Good question. Good question. Listen, I still like Robert Williams, man. I know they brought in Tristan Thompson, right? But I think his athleticism, I think his rim protection, I think his ability to be a lob threat, I think as he continues to get a stronger, solid foundation, continues to allow the game to slow down, and continues to advance his skill set on the offensive end, I think he could be a legitimate starting center for them one day. Now, they brought in Tristan Thompson because they clearly didn't have enough faith in him. They got rid of Enes Kanter, so now you're trying to kind of minimize having to depend on him, which I understand, but I think he has probably the highest potential to turn from a role player to a legitimate starter that can contribute to them in this year's playoffs on a consistent basis. So I would definitely say Robert Williams. Matt Thomas and Malachi needs more hours to play. I agree, man. I agree. And this is another reason why you may have to trade Pascal Siakam. You got young guys that's over there just sitting there. Give Matt Thomas, get Terrence Davis, Malachi. Give these young guys time on the court. If you're not contending, if you're not a contending team, which the Raptors are not, I told people that from the beginning, at best they're 6th seed. If you're not a contending team, don't keep a bunch of older guys around with a high salary on your roster that's not going to get you anywhere. Kyle Lowry with his contract, Pascal Siakam with his contract, and that Fred VanVleet's contract, you're not going anywhere with those guys as your best 3 players. It's just not happening. This isn't the Kawhi Leonard, the Danny Green, the Serge Ibaka, the Marc Gasol. Those vets are gone. Those champions are gone. Now you're relying on Aaron Baines and Alex Len, and now even more Chris Boucher. Which I like Chris Boucher, but I want to see more minutes from Chris Boucher, but he can't be your best player. So I think that the ceiling for this team, man, is at best make the playoffs. This year, the ceiling for the Raptors at best is make the playoffs. Lamar Evans says, do you think that Malachi Flynn and Matt Thomas should play? I feel like the benches. Yes, I agree. Just answer that. I absolutely agree that they need to play. There's no reason why. There's no reason why. Tonight would be a great night against this Marcus Smart, against the what's my guy, Jaylen Brown and Jason. Let these younger guys play against some real competition. Some younger and before they get out there, so have to facing the LeBron James and the Kevin Durant and the Giannis, let some of these young guys play against this level of competition. Throw them out there, man. He says Pascal's a power forward, Malachi. Yes, they are guards. Understand this. They are guards, but this is why I talked about bringing Chris Boucher into the starting lineup. If you bring Chris Boucher to the starting lineup and put Pascal as the small forward, which, as you said, you said that Pascal's a power forward. I honestly don't think he is. I honestly think Pascal is playing out of position. Think about who the best power forwards are in the game. You talk about Anthony Davis. You're talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo. Pascal, he's smaller than these guys. He's not as athletic and not as long as these guys. Then against a guy like, let's look at him when they play against the Pelicans. Against a guy like Zion, he had trouble guarding Zion because of all the girth on Zion. So whether it's tall guys or big guys, he just has trouble. He has trouble. OG was doing a better job against Zion than I saw Pascal doing. So if you remove Pascal and put him potentially on the bench, now you got more position at those small forward shooting guard position where you can have OG still at the 3, opening up a shooting guard spot, or slide OG to the 2, opening up a small forward spot. So you can open up these minutes on the perimeter if you put Pascal on the perimeter and bring Chris Boucher off the bench. Would you rather have Tristan Thompson or Ibaka? Great question, Ray Charles. Would I rather have Tristan Thompson or Ibaka? Give me Ibaka. Ibaka's a better rim protector. He's a better shooter. He's going to space the floor. And that's one of the issues that some other teams are having, particularly like, for instance, a team like the Brooklyn Nets. And I don't want to talk about the Brooklyn Nets too much in this. I think I may have to test. They lose one more game, I'm going to have to do a live on covering the Brooklyn Nets probably on Friday. Because one of their issues that they're having is that they don't have a center that can stretch the floor, creating space. And then so what they have to do is they downgrade and put Jeff Green in and play Jeff Green and Kevin Durant at the 4-5, trying to get more floor spacing, but then that hurts them on the defensive end, grabbing rebounds, rim protection, and the Wizards were able to capitalize that and get the win. So taking it back to your question about Serge Ibaka and Tristan Thompson, I definitely think Serge Ibaka is the better player because he as a big man, he rim protects, he's a better defender, and on offense, he's going to create more versatility in your offense by being able to be a pick and roll option as well as a pick and pop. Let's see. I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Hosna Imami says, do you think the Raptors may trade Kyle Lowry? You know, I'm going to say this. That's a great question. But I think it's harder to trade Kyle Lowry, not because of his talent. I think it's more sentiment with Raptors fans. Like, you already traded DeMar DeRozan, but you got Kawhi Leonard back, so they kind of understood that. You traded Kyle Lowry, who's arguably the greatest Raptor of all time. That's a tough one to sell to your fan base. That's a tough one to sell, especially when he's playing better than Pascal. Like, I don't know if you can do that. And yes, you're right. Kyle Lowry is older, but if you had to answer the question, who's better right now? Who's the better player, Kyle Lowry or Pascal Siakam, regardless of age? Now, if you're talking about for the future, you may rather have Pascal Siakam. But if you're talking about for this season, I mean, I think I would rather have Kyle Lowry than Pascal, to be honest with you. So I wouldn't trade Kyle Lowry. I would look to trade Siakam because he is younger. You can get more assets back for him than you can get for Kyle Lowry. So Jody Jones says, I think Tatum's going to score 16 on this 30. I don't understand what you say. I think Tatum's going to score 16 on this 30 on Siakam. Okay, 16 or 30, I guess you were trying to say. I can see Tatum going for 30 tonight. I absolutely could. Let's see. Funky says, I want Lowry to become a coach after he retires for us. Yeah, I think most Raptors fans would like to see him transition back. They want him to stay a part of that organization. I think that's a hard sell to Raptors fans to trade Kyle Lowry. I think that would be hard to sell to them. Let's see. I agree. He is a Raptors through. Yeah, Lowry I think can stand. He's been loyal. And like I said, it was easy. It was harder for them. It was easier to trade away DeMar DeRozan because you still had Lowry. And you were getting Kawhi Leonard back, who's one of the top 5 players in the game. So you can sell that to your Raptors fan base. And as you said, they wound up having their only championship in their franchise history, so it paid off. But you can't trade DeMar and then a couple years later trade away Kyle. And I just don't see that. That's a tough one, man. That's a tough one. Darren says, what's actually happening? How to fix the Raptors? Well, I honestly, Darren, I think as we started off talking about it, I honestly believe the first thing they need to do is to bench Pascal Siakam. Bench him, bring Chris Boucher in off the bench. You get that's going. I think that's going to. Excuse me, not Chris. Let me take that back. Not bench Pascal. I think they should bench Fred VanVleet. Pascal, if the ceiling for Toronto goes and dies with Pascal Siakam. The reason I say put VanVleet off the bench instead of starting him, not because he's playing bad, but because he could be a Manu Ginobili. He could be a Lou Williams, a Jamal Crawford. He could be that kind of a guard coming off the bench who could come in and give you 20, 30 on any given night, but he does it in bursts, right? I would like to see him there and allow the Raptors to get more size because they're getting annihilated on the glass. The defense, though it's good, it can get better if you bring some legit rim protection in there and Chris Boucher. And I think it takes Pascal Siakam out of that power forward spot, puts him on the wing, where maybe, just maybe, he's able to stay out of foul trouble. Because right now at that fourth spot, he's getting into foul trouble every single game. Remind you, last game he fouled out. The game before that, he didn't play, he was benched. The game before that, he fouled out. The game before that, he had 5 fouls. That's too much for your quote-unquote best player. So I think they need to shake the line up. That's the first thing. And if that doesn't work, then I would say you got to look to make a trade. Haggelon says, have I ever been to Toronto? I've never been to Toronto. Never been to Canada at all. And would I ever visit? I have to. Absolutely will visit too. Because, listen, the Raptors fans show my channel too much love. So when everything opens back up and they got some Raptors game, I'm coming to Toronto to join the Raptor Nation, going to Jurassic Park to watch a game with you all. That's definitely going to happen. So we go ahead and book that. Maybe have to be 2022 because you all don't even have access to the games right now, which is unfortunate. But definitely we're going to join you all, man. All right, so I think we got any more questions. We're going to take a couple more questions. We're going to wrap this video up. What I'm looking for tonight, most importantly, I want to see offensive efficiency. I want to see energy and effort from the Raptors on the glass. This Boston team is a big on the perimeter. They're not a dominant rebounding team. They're not a dominant defensive team. Boston's just not dominant in that way yet. Once again, that could change, as they get fully healthy, but they're not a dominant defensive team. So I want to see offensive efficiency from the Raptors. Run your sets, run them through and through, and execute on offense. They have the worst field goal percentage in the entire NBA. That's not going to cut it. That's number one that I want to see. From Boston, what I want to see is I want to see them come out, and I want to see if the Boston Celtics have the hunger to put a wounded animal down. I want to see if they're hungry enough to see this Raptors team. We're not going to allow them to get off on us. The Raptors got to win over the Knicks. That's the Knicks. The Knicks are the laughing stock of the NBA. Or have been the laughing stock. Boston should not allow this Raptors team to get any momentum, to build any confidence against them. I want to see the Boston Celtics come out and put their foot on the Raptors early in the first quarter and keep it there. That's what I want to see from the Celtics. Let's see. Do you think relocating to Tampa for the season is affecting the Raptors negatively? I think it absolutely is. I think that is absolutely 100% affecting them. But that's no excuse. Listen, that's no excuse. Because I saw them in the bubble where everybody was in the same location and they played bad. Especially in that, especially Pascal Siakam, and especially in that Boston Celtics series. They played bad, and everybody was in the same situation. So yeah, you're still in Florida, you're playing in Tampa this time, and everybody else has the comfort of being able to lay in their own beds, have more familiarity around them. I get that, but at the end of the day, you're professionals. Go to work, and they're not going to work, and they're not doing it consistently. Poston says, who do you think the Raptors will target in free agency? Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. Their main 2 targets, as I did a video on, was Giannis Antetokounmpo and Rudy Gobert. Both of them are gone. The other option would have been somebody like, had Anthony Davis got into the market, he's gone. They need a legitimate big man. So as of right now, I don't even know what I have to go back and look to see what big men, 4/5, particularly 5. Or like I say, a guy like an Anthony Davis or a guy like a Giannis that could be a 4/ and a 5. when you downgrade. That's what they need. They need rim protection, elite rim protection, and they need some versatility at that 4-5 spot. Listen, man, Aaron Baines, I like him, but he's not going to get it done. Aaron Baines is not going to get it done as your starting center. You're not going anywhere in today's NBA with Aaron Baines being your best center. Let's just call it what it is. LaMarcus Aldridge, that's a really good name. I think that's a very good name for a guy. LaMarcus Aldridge, he's older, so he's older. He's not what he was, but LaMarcus Aldridge he can be consistent on the offensive end. The reason I don't like LaMarcus Aldridge, to be honest with you, is defensively he's not going to give you what the Raptors need. Their strength when they won that championship was defense. Serge, Marc Gasol, Kawhi Leonard, Danny Green. Those 4 guys that are now gone are all defense first guys. They got to bring it, and that's why Rudy Gobert would have been perfect. That's why Giannis would have obviously been perfect. LaMarcus Aldridge will fit at that 4/5 spot, and offensively, I think he would be perfect for them. Defensively, he just doesn't cut it for me. But hey, they're running out of options, so he may be the best option left. And then, since I'm watching a show from Calgary, Canada, hey man, listen, welcome to the Ballaholic Nation, Journey of the Ballaholic. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Everybody, make sure that you do me this favor before we get out of here. We're still trying to figure out this YouTube algorithm. Make sure you go ahead and hit the like button. Everybody right now, hit the like button, and not just in the chat, but do me a favor, go down to the comment section, right? Because sometimes when you comment in the chats, it doesn't affect the YouTube algorithm as much as when you're in the comment section. Leave me a comment in the comment section below, just to let me know whatever it may be, any type of comment that you may think. If everybody could do that for me, just hit the like button, leave a comment in the comment section to help see if we can get this YouTube algorithm, because I'm still new, still trying to learn this YouTube platform, and for whatever reason, they've been shadow banning my channel, and it hasn't been getting the views that I was getting a couple of months ago. So we want to go ahead and start 2021 off. My goal for 2021 is I want to hit 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year minimum. My real goal is 100,000, but minimum 50,000. And I think we can do this, fellas and ladies. I think we can do this. I honestly believe that we can reach that number and take this channel to be bigger and better, so that the comment section will just be amazing, right? When we do these views, it'll just be amazing. So definitely, let's do that for me if you don't mind. I definitely appreciate that. Fetty says Lakers at 4, man. I feel, man, listen, the Lakers look good, man. We're gonna definitely do one of these pregame previews on the Lakers coming up, because I like what they say. I want to wait till they get a marquee matchup. They've had some bums they've been playing. They've been getting the job done, but we'll definitely get to them. Andrew McKellar says, what's your background in ball? So I didn't play any professional ball, didn't play any college ball, but I was a starter for high school. I actually played a 4-year starter from varsity from 9th grade to 12th grade. I was a point guard, actually. About 5'9", 5'10", was a point guard. My style of basketball was like Patrick Beverly. I was a defensive pest, and that was my claim to fame. Was tough, hard-nosed, in-your-face defense. So I kind of relate my style of game toward like a Patrick Beverly. James says, what do you think Raptors rate will be this season? Their rate? Maybe you mean their seeding. If you mean the seeding, my prediction before the season was the 6th seed. But if they keep playing like they're playing now, they're not going to make the playoffs. Listen, the Atlanta Hawks look good. They're going to make the playoffs. The Indiana Pacers, they're a team that I didn't have in the playoffs because I thought the Raptors would be in the playoffs. They look like they're going to make the playoffs. The Wizards are starting to mesh a little bit. That's a team that I think is going to make the playoffs. That means the Raptors may not make the playoffs if they keep playing like this. Now, as of today, I would say they still are going to make it. The coach is too good. The talent's too good. I think they'll figure it out, but they gotta change some things. So as of right now, I'm gonna stick with my prediction of Raptors 6th seed. I'm not gonna change from that yet. It's too early to change. I got Raptors 6th seed, but they gotta figure some things out. And that says, yo, bro, Masai Ujiri needs to trade OG and Norman Powell to Cleveland for Andre Drummond, and then needs to trade Van Fleet for Victor Oladipo. That's shaking some things up. I don't know if they need to make that drastic of a change. Andre Drummond, if they could get him, he's the best rebounder in the game. That would definitely clean up their rebounding aspect. trading OG and Norman Powell for Andre? Let me think on that one. My initial thoughts on that is no. My initial thoughts are no, but I need to maybe think on that one a little bit more, because if you have Andre Drummond at the 5, let's say you bring Chris Boucher in at the 4, move Siakam to the 3, you still have Van Fleet, but you say get rid of Van Fleet for Victor Oladipo? I don't know if I would do that. I don't know if I would trade Van Fleet for Oladipo. Oladipo's too injury prone for me. I don't know if I would do that one. But it's a good proposal. I'm gonna think on that one a little bit more. He says Siakam for Harden. Yeah, you probably would have to clone Siakam 3 times to just for them to want to get rid of Harden for that. He said, do I play video? Unfortunately, I don't play. Well, not unfortunately. I don't play any more video games. Actually, I was playing NBA 2K, and this is kind of one of the reasons why I decided to start my YouTube channel. I was on YouTube. I was on NBA 2K, and I was playing, and I wanted to do a NBA 2K channel, right? And that was going to be my YouTube channel. But then I decided, you know what? Instead of playing the video games, let me just do what I love to do anyways, talk basketball. So that's why I decided to do this, and I kind of designated all my time to making the YouTube NBA content instead of NBA 2K content. So I haven't played the video game in over a year and a half probably. All right, a couple more questions. We're going to wrap this thing up. I appreciate everybody who's come out to enjoy this live stream. Tonight we got the Raptors and the Celtics, man. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. This is some things we're looking for that we discussed. We want to see how they play out in tonight's matchup. PK Ness says, I don't think Cleveland likes to trade because they're good right now. And they have Cleveland is good. Man, Cleveland's been playing really good basketball. Listen, Sexton, Colin Sexton, Darius Garland, Okoro, Drummond. Man, listen, Cleveland's been very surprising. Now, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I think that they're riding a good start. I still don't think they'll make the playoffs. There's too much talent in the East. Things are going to kind of level out, but they're off to an amazing start. So, but yes, I don't think the Cleveland would make that trade, honestly. Let's see. James says the draft class is actually really deep, even if you don't get the first overall pick. I agree. I mean, listen, not even just this draft class. Most draft class, the number 1 pick doesn't always tend to be the best player. Like, you've got a lot of draft classes you can look at, and you can see whether it was the number 2 pick or the number 5 or the number 13. Like, there's been a lot of times where the best player in that draft was not the number 1 pick. So you're absolutely right. You don't have to get the number 1 pick, and you can still get an amazing talent in the end of the lottery, or sometimes even the end of the first round. Just depends. Now, the further you get out from the lottery, the lower the chances get. But typically, those first 14 picks, you can get a bona fide superstar in there, even if you don't have the number 1 pick. The Incredible Kyle says, I put $10 on the Raptors tonight. I think Siakam is going to have a night to remember. Incredible Kyle, man. Listen. Personally, if I was betting your $10, I would have put it on the Celtics. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are just playing on an elite level right now, and their offense is clicking. They're clicking, man, even without Marcus Smart. So I don't think Siakam's going to have as good of a game as you think, because he's got a lot of his energy is going to have to be guarding one of those two all night long, and we've seen he's been in foul trouble all season long. So I don't know about that one. Maybe next game. Maybe next game is going to be the game he'll break out. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. A couple more questions. Says, do you think the Rockets are good? I do think the Rockets are good. I think the Rockets, especially as they start getting more time with Wall, Harden, Woods, and Cousins, and going all playing together. Right, like right now, Cousins just coming. They got Cousins coming off the bench, and I don't know if they're going to keep it that way. But Christian Woods is phenomenal. I love that pickup when they got him. He's playing phenomenal. John Wall's finally back in this COVID situation. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. You two, you say the C word, man. Lord. But yes, I like what I see from Houston. I said preseason they were going to be the 5th seed if they kept Harden, and I still think they'll end up being the 5th seed if they keep James Harden. All right, a couple more questions. Says, Tatum and Brown are good, but the rest of the roster sucks. They desperately need Kevin. They do, man. I mean, their third leading scorer is Marcus Smart. He's averaging like 12.6 points per game. He's right now leading them in assists at 6.7 assists a game. So Marcus Smart, if he's your third leading scorer, And if Marcus Smart is your leading assist man, you're not a great team. I mean, there's no other way to put it. You're not a great team. Like I say, with Kemba Walker, I felt this was not a title contender. Without Kemba Walker, this is a fringe playoff team. Well, let's just call it what it is. Boston's a fringe playoff team in that 6, 7, 8 range without Kemba Walker. So they need him back, and they need him back in a major way. Now I know I've talked a lot about Toronto today, but like I said, Boston hasn't been flying and just destroying people. They're 4-3. So they lose tonight, they're 500. So this is a must-win for Boston tonight as well. James says, I think a lot of Siakam's problem is just the mental pressure of being the first option. He got elevated way too early. I feel like he's being used as the first option more than her. I agree with you, James. I 100% agree with you. When he had Kawhi Leonard as that number one option, it took the pressure off him. He could float around the court. Kyle Lowry dropping dimes to him. Everybody's eyes are all on Kawhi Leonard. He can cut back door. He was good as a number 2/3. You put him in at number one, it's like you said it perfectly, Jane. It's too much pressure, and it's in here. He knows defenses are keying on him. He knows he has to deliver for them to be successful. It is showed in the bubble. He can't handle that pressure. The bubble exposed some people. It shines some lights on some people, like Luka Doncic and Jamal Murray shines some lights on some guys. But there's some other guys, it really exposed them. And Pascal Siakam was one of the biggest ones, in my opinion, that got exposed for not being what the Raptors fans thought he could be, which is the number one option on the title contending team. And so I think you're right, man. All right, 2 more questions. We're going to wrap this thing up. Hoops All Day says, who's going to win the East at this point? My pick before the season started was the Philadelphia 76ers. You can go check the tape on that. And right now, they're currently sitting as the number 1 seed in the East. I don't think they'll finish the number 1 seed in the East. I think Milwaukee will finish with the number 1 seed. But Philadelphia 76ers are my pick to win the East. Listen, Doc Rivers got those points right. They got the right roster. They finally got some legitimate shooters around Embiid and Ben Simmons when you bring in Steph Curry and Danny Green. They brought in Dwight Howard for it. I'm not going to go too much into that. I love the Sixers. I got the Sixers winning the East. Last question. Last question of the night. Who's going to be? Lowry, Terrence Davis, and somebody for Zach. You left off who the and was. Lowry, TD, and somebody for Zach LaVine. I don't think they're going to trade Lowry. I don't think Toronto would trade Lowry. Zach LaVine, nah. I'm not feeling that one. B-Ball Vlogs and Videos says Celtics are the best. Are the best at what? Ring 18. No way. Listen, I respect you as a Celtic fan. Full disclosure, I'm a Laker fan. And that's not happening. Lakers are winning the championship. As long as LeBron James and Anthony Davis stay healthy, the Lakers are a dynastic team. Lakers are winning the championship. Lakers will get the 18th ring. The Celtics, they're a long way away from the championship. This is a team that at best, the Celtics get to the second round this year. At best, they get to the second round this year. East is just too deep. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's it for tonight. I appreciate everybody for taking time to come and join this live. Before you leave, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Every Monday and Friday, we're dropping new content. If you've already subscribed, make sure you hit that like button. Leave a comment in the comment section. You can say, who you think's going to win tonight, Raptors, Celtics. Let me know in the comment section, not just the chat, but in the comment section. Let me know so we can get this video out, share it to as many people as possible. Until next time, y'all be safe in the streets. General Hannibal X, and I'm out. Peace.